Okay, hi everybody. Welcome. My name is Karo and I'm the library manager here at the Sims Library of Poetry. And this is our Poem a Week show. So Poem a Week is something that we started doing in July of last year. So it's almost been a year, close to a year. And so we publish a different poet every week on Wednesdays, and submissions are rolling. They're always open. Um, and then we select a poem for every Wednesday, and everyone here who's featuring was one of those poets that was selected, and I'm really excited that that folks are here, and it's cool to meet a lot of you in person because I haven't there's quite a few of you that I've never met in person, so it's cool to finally meet you. And I was inspired to start the Poem a Week series based on the poem a day that the Academy of Poets does. They send out different poem every day. We're not really quite there yet to publish a poem every day, but hey, maybe one day we'll be able to do that as well, and just spread poetry to more folks. And you can access our poems online on our website, simslibraryofpoetry.org. And then we also send them out via our email. And so you can subscribe to that also on our website and get it in your mailbox every Wednesday, like around noon. And so that's pretty much my spiel. And yeah, again, I'm just super excited to be here and to hear your wonderful poetry tonight. um Man, I feel like I like missing something that I was like important I was gonna mention, but I guess for housekeeping, there is a bathroom in the back. It's the first door on the right, so you can use the restroom. Feel free. We just asked that if someone's like reading a poem that you don't flush, just because it is like we're in a closed space, so it does kind of everyone will hear the flush, and that's not the best. It's not. No one wants to hear that during a poem. And but yeah, so let's get started with our first poet, and I'm super excited to to bring her up. She was actually our World Stage Press manager, and also a poet, and she submitted to our Poem a Week, and we selected her, and I was like, yes. Um, oh, now I remember what I was gonna say. So just sorry, I'm gonna go back a little quick here. So what I was gonna say is that the editors for the we're still kind of developing this the whole series, but the editors, the people who select your poems, are it's some of the library staff. So it's like me and Sandra, who's our content creator, and then also some of our volunteers have selected poems, like Nicole, was one of our Poem a Week uh, s- um, poets, but also was one of the people who selected some of the poems. And then more recently, the selections have been made by the CLI students, and they're all it's all volunteer run. And yeah, they go read through all the poems and then pick them for the month. So that's how that's all working. Okay, so now we're going to bring on our first poet who volunteered to go first. Thank you so much, because I know it's going first can be nerve wracking, or it can be a relief, right? Because you kind of get it over with and you don't have to worry about it. Because usually, like, I'm sitting in my seat going like, oh, I'm going to go next. So I know, and it's like I can't focus on anything else. So sometimes it's good to go first. So Sarah, as I said, was our former World Stage Press manager and a really awesome poet. And I've never actually heard her read, so I'm super excited for her set. So I'm going to go ahead and read Sarah's bio. Sara Khayat was born and raised in Los Angeles, California. For 6 years, she was editor in chief of Paper Plane Pilots, a literary collective and publishing company. She has a BA in English slash creative writing and an MFA in poetry and fiction. Her poems and short stories have been published in various journals, magazines, and anthologies over the last decade or so. She always chose truth over dare, she always chose truth over dare at elementary school parties. Proof of her writing can be dated all the way back to old kindergarten findings and floppy disks. Her mind is full of wildflowers, ladybugs, and gray matters. Give her a shout, and she'll give you a whisper. Sarah.
Oh, it's so weird to be up here because usually I'm behind the technology, but it's very bright. Deadhead. These anthurium are smiling. When I propagate my plants, I feel like a mad scientist. A florist for a day, 45-degree angle cut at the stem. Your order has shipped. Maybe where I'm from doesn't exist yet. Stolen by porch pirates. We collect every picture that's ever been taken of ourselves, spin the zoetrope for mechanical reckoning of limbs and laughter. Out of context, I'm just a pile of bones occupying the couch. Out of context, I'm just eyes in the darkness. Just another yawn echoing across oceans. My spotted begonia was lost in the mail. I imagine it dead on some conveyor belt awaiting an x ray. And all I wanted was my money back. An Etsy conversation with the seller. Maybe my thirst was the problem all along. My body is a broken record, 29 years of eclipses. When they ask if we're okay and we answer with the truth, this is where emergency exits are born. Thanks. I misread your eyes, thought movies. Your typing sounds like a hailstorm, eating wood chips, cello cries, emotional in your front seat, talking DNA storm. I've been thinking that a lot recently, but you've been out of reach. Galaxies of space. You said, there can't be an end to everything. Somebody died and gave me their bones. The length of it will be sure to kill us, knocked into eternal fog. An off the clock shadow, a permission to hide in the open wound of the pavement. Can you fall without bone breaking consequence? Can you run without forfeiting breath? When is the best time to leave you? Night skies, stop looming over me like peace in our tomorrows. Homegrown music, paint the walls. Siren and airplane and clouding of skies. And shooting stars or falling or death rattle, battle cry, birthing or drunk walking home. A tunnel and a tunnel leading to safety, to danger, to safety. If danger comes, would you fight it? Maybe kiss it on the mouth, keep it happy. Tomorrows keep coming. Dawns keep breaking me. Please let me pause, let me catch my forever breath. Avoid long eyes in the mirror when I brush my teeth in the morning. Is gravity our only God? That one was after Tongo Eisen Martin, who read here, and I bought his book here and wrote this poem after reading it. This morning was, I'm pretty sure I wished for you in a tunnel once. I think the word we is short on purpose. I think blank is unattainable. Even stairs and pages speak with silence. There was a time before, that's hard to remember, a time before blankets and buffering. I made my character keep drinking whiskey in a video game tonight. The bottle never seemed to get emptier. I didn't hit triangle to stop drinking. I haven't had a drink since Silver Lake. I don't remember the night, but I remember the parking lot. The man on the the man on the sidewalk with the cane asking if I was married. If not, let's do this. I feel safe around color, paint on asphalt and brick walls. I haven't written anything this confessional since I could breathe. There was a time, I think, when all of that was possible. I don't know how I'm doing on time. Hollywood sounds. Wash away with rain. Man on stoop, dangling cigarette, vanishing to candlelit yoga, bent over fog windows. Privacy rooftop, spacious, dropped the keys off. Piano humming, gymnopédie on loop. Your night music, your night routine. Something about fingertips and your darkness lace me. RSVP no for the wedding. Send guilt gift. Personality test plus a roller coaster in Switzerland. We aren't moving fast enough to feel it. Rain came down. I ate the silence, picked at voices between my teeth. Moonflower in the sun. 28 and my hair is turning gray. Dream about a house and a garden with $100 in my checking. Make a list of plants that vine for the future. A moonflower only has time to bloom at night. Sign off on a loan to pay a loan to pay a loan. You bring me a bouquet of flowers when I feel lonely. Can't leave the bed. Car didn't start this morning. Flat tire, a man honking, asking if I knew. I cry after the scene in Atlanta where Donald Glover says poor people don't have time for investments. I wish I could be pretty without anyone noticing. I wish I could be ugly without anyone noticing. My hair all over the floor between your toes. I pull it from the drain. I can't afford a haircut, and I'm too afraid to lift the scissors myself. Let's see. I think I got like two more. Okay. I always think they're super long, and then they're like, it's been 30 seconds. I'm sorry. Voice was born backwards, removed from the earth and placed in the mother. I am having a hard time emptying. Maybe images don't want the light. A memory graveyard, smoke in my eyes. I want gentle and fragmented. Don't give it to me all at once. I can't take it. Rooftop circle. I tied your tie. We broke the lights. Sunglasses kept me shy. Your eyes, your eyes, your eyes. I can't get them off me. Two. Okay, I'm gonna do. This is the last one. Laugh hold. You call me a giggling cloud as I lose myself to thoughts swirling and distorting and fogging into thin air, no longer visible, but the impression is left. I tell you, I need you to help me learn this language, the language of my father in Jiddo and Siti. I tell you, I can't do it alone. You pick up the Arabic book and start reading it backwards, and I laugh and say, other way. And now you're reading it upside down, and I can't roll my R's, so you pry open my mouth to examine what's wrong, where the language is lost, and rub my throat, say here, and point to my tongue, say there. No, maybe it's the roof. I laugh and make hissing noises, and you call me a monster, and we slink hopelessly to bed. Thank you.
Ooh, okay, thank you, Sarah. That was really beautiful. Everyone, let's give a clap, a hand for Sarah. Woo! Yeah, yeah. Thank you for being brave and being the first one. And then, yeah, welcome everyone who just came in. You can feel free to. We have some chairs. If folks want to sit down. And yeah, so it's funny. I actually haven't. I haven't feel like I used to host an open mic with the Los Angeles Poets Society. So I used to host events a lot more often. I haven't done one in it's been a minute, and was like, have I hosted like an in person event? I don't even know. But yeah, it's interesting. I'm usually like doing like all the like the music and all the other stuff. But I was like, you know what? I wanted to host tonight. Okay, so we're gonna bring up our next poet. And this next poet is was a former or was a CLI student. And he's actually going to be coming out with a book really soon. And I his poetry is always really very powerful. So I'm excited to see what he brings to the mic. And he's a big supporter of the library as well. So yeah, so Woodrow Bailey was born in New Orleans and raised in South Central Los Angeles. His creativity took flight when his mother taught him how to write at age 3. His philanthropy, his career, and his writing represent those with no voice or choice in this society. Woodrow Bailey uses the words as a prose into his environment. He sees those who are left with little to no option as his audience. His writing is their testimony as he observes social issues. As the same streets he grew up on continue to be his composition book, those life lessons fuel what he stands for, peace and faith. So let's give it up for Woodrow Bailey.
All right, good evening. Thank you for this opportunity to be able to be amongst these wonderful poets this evening. As was mentioned, my writing is a documentation of those who have no voice or no choice in this society or prose in their environment. Tonight, I'm going to present a chapter of a book that I'm working on called My Prose Speaks Because. This chapter is called This Interview. What are you doing out here? You don't belong here. To help, you're useless just being here. You're going to pay me for running my mouth? That nonsense has been said before. You're not the first or last trying to see me. What do you know about me? How did I get here? Why I don't have a job? I've been asked that before. I'd be lying if I try to answer. You got the time? I need some beer. Don't think I don't know what you're trying to do. I see you're going to stay. The rules around here is stay out of my way every day. Get some money flowing into my hand. Understand, you're not on your own to protect yourself. When you want to get started? Yesterday? Tomorrow's not promised around here. I'm basically homeless. Bare minimum to get over. Tired of always going under. Now see if you stay anyway. Now what? Who's going to try to hear me? You still here? Man, there's 1,000 of us to talk to. What makes me so special? This hell is not a resort. I got work to do so I can get right. Hustling is my chosen profession. Thought I couldn't speak the king's English? I'm not starting from the beginning. There was never one in the first place. Only sloppy seconds in my raggedy life. Maybe you'll leave now. Man, why are you out here with a mask on? I don't care about Brother COVID. If he gets you, he gets you, period. Something always gets you around here. Punk ass robbers, women, men, cold or hot. These tents are not homes. Can't keep the water or rats out. Sleep is a luxury, just enough to be conscious. Streets are toilets with no flush. When was the last time I took a shower, brushed my teeth, went to the doctor? Those questions you already know the answer to. How are all these thoughts going to help me be you? New year, same tired drama from last year. Still caught up in the same mess. Only the days go by with a new perspective. I have the same education with syllables. Obvious, there's a reason I choose this life, but opportunities stop coming by. Opting to consider something else. Nobody listens to the truth. I still have 364 days to become relevant. What is water worth? When some good people come by, bring bottles, but everyone sells them for drugs, for sex, for change. These are like rats around here. Everything you love, they steal. At least the rain washes their filth away. The mission used to let us use the shower. Then the damn pandemic stopped all that. The way you survive is to look around 360 degrees. How many days you gonna be out here searching? I'm not trying to hear all that. What I do with my time is my business. You think I don't know where I am or where I'm going? I got places to go and people to see. If y'all stop judging us for what you see or hear, how much better off we would be. People are hurting out here, struggling just to be human. Hell, animals have better life than this. Now, what you gonna write about tomorrow? Politician who? I know you're not saying what they're supposed to do. Come down here for a photo lie. Whatever money they supposed to spend, where is it? You just can't put people in a room. Must not be an election year. Don't see more of those suckers. See the police every day, though. They come out and take our stuff. Consider it trash just like us. They throw us away if they could. What you think gonna happen out here today? You can't ask too many questions out here. Answers might get you hurt or worse. You couldn't write all those stories. The truth fires like a trigger, pulled at best. You wouldn't want to get any help? The lies always stab us, cutting the core of society. You don't know what you're doing? The intentions came from the haves for the have-nots and them. I see you haven't left, so enjoy our subculture. Don't you want to talk to one of these sisters, the ones that are most vulnerable, especially the one with kids? A kid just wants shelter and wisdom. They can't get that on these streets. They grow up like wild weeds around here. I gave up an opportunity so a sister with a kid can get a place. She didn't deserve to be out here. I didn't ask for nothing. She made a bad decision. She only made one, so she learned. Life is a game of choices as checkers become chess. Better watch yourself out here. Someone is always watching, waiting. They'll rob you or worse. I've seen it happen too many times. Willing. How do you get stabbed over a joint, a bottle of water? Why would you get killed over tents, territory? I hope you realize what you got yourself into. What's the point? You keep coming out here hoping to find a miracle. Fairy tales of hope don't exist out here. Realities of these streets do. I'm tired of the truth punching me in the mouth. So what you looking for? Stories tell their own stories. I'm wrong on all accounts every day. Opportunities get smoked up, shot in veins, opening legs. If you keep asking more questions, those answers will come. Better not have nothing of value out here. Your idea is valuable, so I keep telling you, anything that makes a straight dollar crooked. What you gonna do with all this talking? Listen and write a book? How does that help me? I'm gonna write a book too. I'm the one with the stories to tell. I'm a living statistic with no numbers. Here's my first line, so hear me. The night has a blank silence to it. Nothing stays still, only the trees. Two lines of my future as soon as I learn. You see that cat over there? He been here longer than all of us. He sweeps the hood clean every morning. Go ask what happened to him. He talks to no one, period. Keeps to himself for sanity. You're going to have a come to Jesus moment. He had his a few years ago, a heart attack. Beats his broom on the ground before he starts. Mine's is when my mama died. I couldn't even go to the funeral. I treated her like trash from day one. Pain is a thermometer that's always taking your temperature. Where's the music? I'm sick of all this screaming and cussing. Don't bring that new mess. It's whack. Can't understand it and it serves no purpose. I grew up on Marvin, Stevie, Smokey, Motown's finest. My parents bought albums every week. Those melodies calmed my nightmares. The anthems had a soundtrack into society. Most of those songs are 50 years old, but they still sing true as ever. Now some fool out here stabbing people. Haters gonna hate, but damn, one of our own killing us. Who else would do that? Already get killed every day, socially, economically, and spiritually. The little sleep I was getting, the large problems I already have, the lifeless zombies that make up these streets. Life insurance is giving me one more day. Life assurance is throwing away any chances. Life reoccurrence is playing over and over. Option my movie rights to Spike Lee. Do the right thing. A black eye for a black buffoon. I'm good, but nobody's gonna violate me. I minds my business. They just can't leave me alone. You know how many times I moved? You know how many times of what ifs I had to listen to? You know how many suckers tried to steal from me? As you stand there with that recorder chewing up words, they're empty around here and they're not worth a quarter. Just a way to pass time or pollute the air. The misery is, I don't want to be here. The mystery is, we all can do better. The miracle is, I got another tomorrow. Night covers sins, but days can't wash them away with any water. Look at this picture. This is what I had once. A family. These three souls meant the world. I made sure I was home every night, didn't drink or smoke. I wanted to do what my pop couldn't do. One night, a piece of trash, driving drunk, took them away from me. Got 10 years in country club jail. I got a lifetime of pain for no reason. I also lost faith in humanity. I didn't take his money, but I couldn't ease this pain. Start asking why we're here before you jump to conclusions. These streets are undefeated. They punch out your mind, your body, and your soul. If you'd have told me I had been here 10 years ago, I'd have cussed you out. I'm cursed because I didn't listen. Everybody's story is different, as the results are the same. We're just educated animals roaming. I'm tired of waiting on chances, taking another ignorant stance with a romance backward glance. Don't forget to give me some credit. At least that'll live effortlessly. I took stock where there's no bonds I could hold on to. Everyone can see it but me. My mama did what she could to raise me, but I wasn't the son she needed me to be. I'm angry at myself, as only I know. These demons poison my sorrowful spirit. My pop tried to reach out to me long ago. Now I got blood on my hands, belching out harm to those who offer help. I can't renew unless I release. Soul searching is a ship that sails in dirty water. Finally, finally, this is it for me. It's time to be a productive citizen. I kept blaming everyone else for what I can control, me. I should have understood a positive solution instead of a negative poison. See, I had thousands of chances to do better as I grieved to be, as I went and invested in myself, got a job, actually a career. These demons will not give up, but I'm determined to live each day as the rest of my life. Their focus is corrupt as lying, cheating, and stealing never stops. Those cold, open nightmares where the stars die caused a revelation in my soul. Goals became an achievement as his concrete soiled my reaction. Action was taken as I stopped denying myself, swallowing excuses before choking on that constant dirty water. Cleansing all these spirits will take hope for taking that step forward towards tomorrow. Yesterday sleeps with today. Try to do more as I'll come back to offer help for those to get out of this hell, to give an opportunity where none exists. Write your story, but mine's is published here. This dissertation, this documentation, this interview. Thank you.
Thank you, Woody. Let's give it up for Woodrow again. Um, yeah, that was some wonderful, powerful poetry. Thank you so much for yeah, giving a voice and telling a story of people that we know we don't always hear stories from, and that we, you know, some folks may have judgments of. So yeah, so thank you. I'm excited for your that's gonna be your next book that's gonna be coming out now. Okay. I know you have a Woodrow has a lot of books, so can't wait to read them, have them all get published soon. We're gonna go ahead and bring up our next poet of the night. And this poet is actually our intern here at the library. She goes to Woodbury University, and we've been getting interns from them for our library, and they've been really super helpful and really great. And Nicole has been writing some blog posts for us. She's been choosing the poem a week. She's been doing a lot like her Instagram page, and she's been doing a really wonderful wonderful job here, and we really appreciate all the work that she's done. And this is actually she does things for us virtually, so this is actually her first time here at the library, and I'm super excited. Voxel met her in person finally after seeing her on Zoom for the last few months. um I'm gonna go ahead and read your bio. Is that okay, Nicole? Yeah, okay. um so this is from Nicole's point of view. My high school experience was a bit different than most. From 7th to 12th grade, I was homeschooled, which took me some time to adapt to not only a new lifestyle, but along with that, I was on a constant journey of self-discovery. I always found such great gratification from journaling and writing poems to articulate my feelings. I kept practicing writing daily, yet little did I know that writing helped me with my journey of self discovery in ways I couldn't see until now. Writing is more than something I do for fun. It's something that I'm able to put so much of my heart into whenever I have the ability to do any writing assignment. Writing is helping me understand who I am and the impact I want to leave before my life comes to a close. For my enjoyment of writing poems, short stories, and journaling, my love for writing continues to grow stronger and stronger. That's how I know this is my passion, and somehow, I'm on the right track. It's a really beautiful bio, and I'm just gonna add one more thing about Nicole because I actually chose her poem. I don't select a lot of poems for the poem a week. Probably only done like a couple, but Nicole's poem really caught my eye, and it like made me cry a little bit, like in a good way, and I really related to it. So it was really special when she would decide, you know, when she became the intern, because I was like, yes, I love her poetry, and I'm really excited that she's here today. So let's give it up for Nicole.
Hi, everyone. How's everyone doing today? The little girl on the swing. The little girl I saw on the swings faced responsibility, and I could see it still triggering her mentality. Becoming an adult when you're meant to be a child is confusing. Not sure of what it's like to actually be someone your age or the age that represents the way you are depicted. I've grabbed the hand of the little girl on the swing I saw, smiling so large as if nothing was ever a concern. I didn't want to worry her with my concerns of who I thought she was becoming, since it meant nothing to what she was going to unravel in the future. I recognize that she craves attention, love, and affection of a human being. She always carried others' hurt, regrets, and mistakes on her back, so no one ever knew of the weight she carried, which is why you may see bruises on her back if only you lifted up her shirt. The sunlight made her look like such a goddess that I had to remember she's only a child. The way that she only spoke when asked made me understand why she only found a home within herself. The way she looked at the world around her and had the ability to analyze people's true intentions was misleading since she was just a little girl. But what I didn't know is she had an old soul. I was stunned when I found out the understanding of what the universe had in plan for her, since she wanted to hide from the world ever so deeply. The world wanted to expose the talent she possessed. Since she was little, her soul was so vibrant that the world had chose her specifically to show light, the light inside of her that had always been shining. I am that little girl on the swing. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. That was actually the piece that was selected for the poem a week that I really love. So thank you for reading it. It's a really beautiful, beautiful piece. And once again, thank you for being here. Let's give it up for Nicole again. So this next poet that I'm going to bring up is actually part of the reason that this poema show is poema week show is happening. And he actually he hit up the library to see if there was a reading that he could do with us, and I was like, sure, you know, we love to do shows and love to do readings and spread poetry. And I was like trying to figure out what the best like theme would be, and then I was like, well, you know, he was published in Poema Week. Why don't we bring all the Poema Week people up and have, you know, and have him read? Because, you know, that just, you know, let's celebrate everyone who's been contributing to, you know, to the library and our content, because we appreciate that. And he actually also invited me to a reading in at Boca de Oro, so I really appreciated that as well. So our next poet is Donato Martinez, who teaches English composition, literature, and creative writing at Santa Ana College. He hosts and curates a biannual afternoon of artistic expression with poetry, dance, and live music. These events generate large crowds and active participation. He's also a poet and writes about his barrio upbringing, his community, his culture, his bicultural and bilingual identities, and other complexities of life. He's influenced by the sounds and pulse of the streets, people, music, and the magic of language. He has a self-published collection with three other Inland Empire poets, Sacos de Lengua. His work has been published by City Works, East Side Rose, Acento's Review, and Ofrenda magazine. Forthcoming publication will appear in La Raíz magazine and the San Diego Poetry Annual. He loves the outdoors and is inspired by music, books, movies, and his children, Gabrielle and Abigail. Let's give it up for Donato Martinez.
Thank you very much, Karo, and thank you guys, the fellow poets that I'm sharing the stage with tonight. And this is a very beautiful library, very beautiful place to read poetry. So let me check my time. Um, Really happy to be here. As I was driving up, I noticed just a lot of the features of this city, the environment. And so I have a couple pieces um, that relate to what we're seeing out on the streets here, but it's also a place that I grew up in. And a lot of these poems, they come with a little tiny story. And so the tiny story that I'm just gonna say to you is that I remember back in the days when I had a white friend come over to my house, and my parents, you know, I have two younger sisters, and my parents always said, you know, you can invite your friends, but they can't come in the house because you have two younger sisters. And I was like, if they want to pee, they got to go in the back and pee by the chickens over in the back, right? And of course, if they had to, use the other restroom, then come in and you wait with them and things like that. One of my white friends happened to come over on the day that my mother was making tamales, and so we would kick back in the porch because the porch was a really kind of like a long extension of our house, like a living room, right? And so we started eating our tamales, and I'm enjoying my tamal, right? And I look over to my right, and I see my friend eating the tamal, and he's like having a difficult time eating. He's holding like a burrito, and he's going like, right? And I had to tell him, man, you got to take the corn husk off, right? And it was a culture education for both of us because I couldn't assume that everybody knew what tamales were, right? Just like he didn't understand that you got to remove the husk and things like that. So I make a reference to that line in this particular piece, and that's why I wanted to share that with you. But this is entitled "Where I'm From." Where I'm from, the front porch is an extension of the living room, where my white friend first learned of tamales. You must unwrap the corn husk before biting into the creamy chile-filled masa. I'd sit for hours spinning sunflower seeds and contemplating the beautiful girl from a class that I was too afraid to talk to. Where I'm from, I'd peel oranges while doing my algebra homework while I waited for my mother's mole. On any given day, music blasted from the inside. The thumpy loud sounds would shake and rattle screen doors that were held together by one screw on its side. The music was tropical and funky. The hip hop beats were loud and bombastic. Classic times of whole afternoons as I became tranced to the glorious spells of music. It was one of my first loves. Where I'm from, the sirens kept us up all night. From police cars, ambulances, and fire trucks, even helicopters circle around the night sky, beaming and shining its high beams across the asphalt streets. Where I'm from, German shepherds and Rottweilers and cockfighting roosters competed for attention with the borrachos and tecatos who stumble home drunk or high in the early morning hours. Shortly thereafter, a young mother would plead, "No, viejo, no, it wasn't me. It's not true. Stop screaming. You're going to wake up the kids. Please, Dios, por favor, ayúdame. Shut the hell up." Where I'm from, the smells of family creeps out of every opening, pork, crack, hole, and spills into the air like confetti. It is a warm pot of frijoles, handmade corn tortillas, hot off the comal, toasted green chiles peeled and crushed into a smoky molcajete. Where I'm from, the blaring sounds of horns, the music, children, ice cream trucks keeps everyone awake and alert. The cars litter driveways, yards, and large patches of dirt, and all of these cars are works in progress. Empty beer cans are scattered all over the front yard like permanent decorations. Marijuana smoke penetrates nostrils. Young children play hopscotch in the middle street as they dodge lowriders cruising slow and low to the sounds of oldies. Where I'm from, the concrete walls are never bare. Inscriptions are scrawled, barely legible. Graffiti claims a clica or a barrio or a turf. The names of lovers are etched out and painted over by young novice murals. Hearts are glorified, suns and moons are painted, and rainbows provide colors to the drab streets. These walls leave memories of who was here. Where I'm from, fresh grasses sprout. Fruit trees grow wildly like a jungle in the backyard. Wildflowers push through cracks in concrete. Shaky hands of grandmothers tend to immaculate rosebush gardens. Young girls jump rope in the middle of the street. Teenage boys toss baseballs and make plans to become boxers or ballers. Where I'm from, through the crumbled cinder blocks between cracked cement and pothole on asphalt streets, tell a future of innocent shorties that read books and become lawyers and teachers. Where I'm from, it is still possible to make dreams come true. It is still possible to make a mother smile and to make your sister cry tears of joy. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. This is called Say Something. Bump that shit. Make the windows rattle. Make screen doors come off its hinges. Make the 911 emergency sirens go off. Make the neighborhood dogs bark like they see a cat. Make the cats stop in their tracks. Make teenage boys rise from their video games to witness the noise. Make Wu-Tang ask, who bringing the motherfucker ruckus? Make old folks get up and dance, talk their muscles and bones into moving like they haven't for years, then quiver to the ground. Make flowers rise through the earth and break concrete above them, rip through the glory to reach the sunshine. Make a loud scream, a testament to your survival. Make your next word mean something. Imagine that it's your last word. Shout it at the top of your lungs because it feels so damn good to scream about everything and about nothing. Make alcoholics gain moments of clarity. Make sinners crawl on their knees for repentance. Make a new drug of words Make people fiend for another hit of this language, like scripture, like speaking in tongues. Bump that shit, dog. Let me hear that battle cry, the scream for help, the wail from a mother looking for her missing son, or the pain from a lover who abandoned you. Get to that depth of your pain and rage and sorrow and hurt and reveal and confess this new language of forgiveness and healing, a language full of love. Just say something, but say it like you mean it. This is Becoming. It's the poem that was published for Poem a Week. So I thank you guys. I thank the editors for selecting this poem. It's called Becoming. From pain to glory, from sadness to joy, from tears to a crooked smile, from scribbles to art, from a wound to a scar, from broken strings and broken dreams to compositions of beautiful symphonies. I'm consumed by the negative, but I'm feeling a little positive. I am turning nothing into something. From a deep slumber and ignorance, I wake to sunshine and a dream. From failed promises, I'm ready to renew. From wet dreams to grown children, from turmoil to peace, from chaos and disorder, I'm seeking wisdom and a new order. I came from dirt, but I will glow like a diamond. I am down, but I aspire to inspire. I am becoming. I am becoming. From being sick to being healed, like a remedy, like epiphany, like poetry, like drunk last night to recovery. I have been empty, but I will be filled. I've been lost, and I'm trying to be found, because sunsets become moonlight, become sunrise, become illuminations. I am becoming. I am becoming. I am here. Let me just check my time. Okay. All right. I'm going to read a love piece, a heartbreak piece. Is that okay? Can I do that? Okay. Because there's a Spanish song that says something like, dicen que los hombres no deben llorar por una mujer. They say that a grown man should never cry over a woman. But, all right. So I think we've been there. And this piece is about that time. It's about that feeling. It's about wanting her, but her not wanting you, and just trying to hang on to a little bit of hope. It's called I'm Sorry. I'm sorry. I don't want this to be another sad poem, but sometimes I want to float among the clouds, see you from afar, spot you as a speckle, then bring you into my focus as a tiny and precious little treasure. I've heard of love and the stars, and I have heard of the ocean and the waves, and of the beautiful flowers and the birds and the rainbows and sunshine, but nothing, I'm saying nothing, prepare me for this lingering pain, because when you're gone, I only smell the burnt trees and see the dry grass. I taste spoiled fruit, and I only hear broken glass on sidewalks. I feel the heat and the cold and the burns of fresh cuts and bruises, and I wish I could Photoshop my heart to cover up these scars that you left me with. I'm sorry that I'm vulnerable and weak. I never meant to be this way. I'm sorry that I'm selfish, feeling this right now, to want you now at this moment. But this empty hole makes me suffer. And I want to utter words that I'm afraid to say. So I try to remember the sound of your voice, sweet, soft, soothing, delicate like lace, pleasant like a deep humming inhale and slow meditative exhale. And I try to doodle and draw pictures of your hands and write similes about your eyes and metaphors of your smile, so that these memories can be engraved in me. So wrap your arms around me, feel me like I feel you, love me like I love you, because I'm exhausted from the endless drives with the windows rolled down, playing the sad, shitty music. I'm overwhelmed from the sleepless nights in my lonely room while writing shitty poems about you. And maybe you're not the most beautiful, but your laughter is. And I'm the happiest person when I witness this moment. And I wish that you knew that when I hear your name at random, I quiver like crunchy dry leaves. I wish you knew your name is music to slow dancing like gentle chimes on a breezy day. I wish you knew that your face is a beautiful memory every day. Your eyes ignite fireworks and me ready to explode, and a rush of emotions make me nauseous like rainbows circling inside of me. Oh, baby, I wish you knew that thoughts about you are always dripping at the tip of my pen. Thank you very much. This will be my last piece. My bio indicated that I love music. I remember just, Saturdays, if you guys know Saturdays were always cleaning days, right? and music was always playing at the house. And I remember my dad like wanting to listen to like corridos or norteños or like classic Mexican music, and my mother was more into kind of like the pop music of the time, which is like Los Bukis and Temerarios, and right, and so the there was always competition. And then my older brother, he introduced me to funk music and things like that, like the Barcades and Daz Band and Gap Band and stuff like that. And it was like the music started speaking to me. I was like, okay, I could do this shit, right? And then, but like when I was introduced to hip hop, I was like, oh my God, you know, where have you been, right? So this is really a poem about the the beautiful music that comes from people of color, Latinos, Mexicanos, blacks, Africans, and just the parts of Latin America. So it's called Mestizo Picadillo. Get some water real quick. Okay? So picadillo is like a food, and that everybody kind of like you put a little bit of shred beef, some chile, some broth, put sometimes some beans in it, some cactus, nopales. Everybody makes picadillo differently, but it's like a spicy broth. You can put all kinds of things, kind of like maybe menudo or pozole, right? So mestizo picadillo. Mestizo beats on underground airways, sampling and scratching, mixing and mingling, blending and bending and borrowing and taking. Lyrical passwords, loosening rusted chains and waking, decaying, skeleton skulls and bones, running through clay earth and creeping through time, taking and talking to packs of wolves and ancient sacred spirits, humming, crumbling, rumbling, and tumbling, trouble Tenochtitlan temples. The live hearts are oozing and dripping. The warm sacrificial blood is just spreading and descending past the descendants of Machu Picchu, where some morning calypso and conga drums thumping and Inca flutes and Aztec conch shells, solo strumming acoustic guitars and bass infested Caribbean beats, electric boogaloo and birthing births and deaths and rebirths. To Pan Africans, mulattoes, Sambos, and Indians, mestizo school children and Creole teachers, scratching and scrawling on chalkboards, rewriting and recreating history, not history, but it's our story, and checking it, checking it. Cacophonous hieroglyphic rhythmic bebops and hip hops, rattling rattles, maracas, and timbales. It's carving the etching chair of flesh. It's slicing and slipping the infant eardrums. Strange voodoo sounds, ho-hos and mojos and potatoes and Shakey's pizza, shrieking curses and chanting, smoking peace pipes and slowly burning incense full of surreal dreams and late night screams, scandalous vibrations and pelvic intonations. Whispered, sweet incantations in between moist blankets of midnight snake wrapped lovers, just for the funk of it, ferociously grooving and freaking, shaking and baking, jamming and jiving secretly and discreetly, writing and scribbling our heartbeats on dark corners of virgin sacred land that America nor Columbus had not yet tainted. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate that.
Hi, let's give it up for Donato. Thank you so much for sharing on the mic. That was really great poetry. So we are down to the last three poets of the night. And so before we do that, I wanted to pass this basket around to see if we can collect any donations. So we're supported primarily through community donations. We've been getting some grants as well, but we're still fairly new. And so yeah, so we have folks who contribute monthly to us. We also get like one-time donations, and we've been some of our shows we do charge at the door. This show tonight was free, but I did want to pass the basket around and see if we can get just like $1.50. Everything makes a difference. And it'll help us pay the rent and the bills and all that, because we want to continue to stay open and provide community space. And then for anyone who's tuned in on YouTube, you can also donate through our website. If you go to simslibrarypoetry.org, I believe you click on like membership and donations, like you'll be able to see there's a PayPal button to donate. But before we bring up the next poet, I'm gonna just pass this basket. So yeah, thank you everybody who's been on the mic so far. And yeah, we've got three more poets. This next poet that I'm gonna bring up was actually my first time meeting her today. And so it was super, very much loved her poetry, and excited that she's here to share more of it. So next up is going to be Rose Bowen. Rose is a neurodivergent queer writer who aims to show that everyone has the capacity to create. She graduated at Pitzer fall 2021, where she majored in English with a focus on creative writing. She's currently working on publishing her first collection of poetry, Ink Blot Girl Diaries, and applying for a master's in library science. Her first poem will be premiered in the recently released anthology Future Splendor, published by B Infinity Publishing. You can find Rose on Muse Poetry podcast where she shares her work. Besides poetry, Rose loves rainy days, reading, and playing with her 4 dogs and 2 cats. Let's welcome Rose.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Everyone has such a beautiful presence here tonight, and it's really exciting for it to be like my first time reading. I do have a poetry podcast, and I've done it for years, but this is the first time that I've been in front of people. So if I stutter, give me a second. Mermaid thoughts. So, she can't be a mermaid. 'Tis not the tale of a true fish woman. They sneer and snicker at her melanin. They make drowning jokes. They point at the depths of the water and ask where could she be? Her color, her shield in those dark waters. Her mind has been sharpened to look out for sharks. They do not see the ghosts of her ancestors rising. All the whimsy of the myth all the whimsy of the mythical turns into the truth in a grim tale. What do they know about traveling across worlds forcibly? How can they imagine what it is like to be a part of someone's world when all they know is how to dominate and make new? We have always been a part of your world. Now we are transcending, raising our voices from the tops of cliffs and remaking ourselves into royalty. A black woman can't be an ocean princess, they say. How many black cherubs were taken and chose the sweet release of water than the hands of their oppressors? What do they know about making peace with their gods, or have to learn how to sink, swim, or become owned? Our little Ariel is a recreation, a reimagining of a dream. Her beating heart courses with the voices of the past, the one who drowned before earning their crown. Give this woman whimsy and a soft face. Let her image grace young minds, and let her story become the success of a woman who could survive the brutality of the ocean, a woman who will let the ghosts of the water support and guide her. It's not just a movie, it's not a riot against tradition. It is another culture trying to carve a place and be a part of this European dominated world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rose. And I am so happy that this was your first time reading in front of people. That's pretty exciting. I think it's been yeah. So that's pretty great to be someone's the first time someone's read poetry. I'm always really happy about that. And so, yeah, we got two more poets left, and then we can do like a small open mic if anyone's interested. We'll take a break after the last poet, and then if anyone wants to like come up on the mic and share anything else, we can do that. We'll probably keep it pretty short, maybe like 15 or 20 minutes. But yeah, the library's open till 8, so we're here till 8. And so if anyone wants to share poem or poetry, we can do that, or we can just like hang out. Again, there's like chips and soda in the back. So our next poet is gonna be someone that I met through during the pandemic through some LA Poet Society events, and then I finally met him in person at the in Altadena when we did a reading at some point. I think it was like in 2021. And I'm really I dig his poetry. He's got a really great presence. He's a really wonderful storyteller. So I'm going to go ahead and read his bio. Josh Evans is a poet, storyteller, voice actor, and educator from Pasadena, California. He has read at Beyond Baroque, Avenue 50 Studio, La Palabra series, Dignidad Literaria, Readin', and was a feature poet in the Los Angeles Music Centers for the Love of LA production. His poems and essays have been published in the Café con Libros inaugural anthology, Spectrum Anthology, Angel's Flight Literary Magazine, and the Los Angeles Poets Society's debut anthology, Los Angeles Poets for Justice, a document for the people. That's a really great anthology, by the way. I'm just going to throw that in there. When not performing, he also teaches poetry and creative writing from pre-K to adult level. Josh is on Twitter, IG, TikTok, and under Josh Evans Go. You can also visit his website for all things education, entertainment at highformfamily.com. So let's welcome Josh.
Hello. I feel so like millennial right now, even though I'm over 30, just because people have like portfolios and folders and stuff. Like, look, very professional. I'm like, I got my phone. Thank you, Karo. Thank you, Sims Library. It's awesome. It's no small feat to pull together a reading. Also, I will let you know. So I also host One Mic, One Globe with Los Angeles Poet Society, and one of my poets who I featured is here from Texas visiting, and she's here because she saw the flyer about the show. So I know. All right, so this first poem I'm going to read is the one that actually was in the poem a day situation. It's called Eden. Eve bit the apple on purpose because she knew perfection is the bane of humanity. Genesis is shelter in place for the only biblical proof God might be male, because a Black woman's insight to induce grace saved the world for millions of years, until Jesus copied her and took all the credit. This planet is a drifting tomb through the universe, a time bomb of damnation, desperately clinking its treasure chest of bones, keepsakes from all the skeletons who escaped our closet, trying to convince our idols that we are gold. Without Black people, there is no redemption. No culture, no soul, no gravitational pull into the burning orbit of purpose. And without Black women, God doesn't exist. The best sons take after their mothers. Jesus was a mama's boy, doing his best to reconcile a universe not shaped by his hands. Even as he hung on that cross, he knew it was his Black God mother who had already paid the price ultimate. Jesus knew he only had one experience that she did not: death. The tongues of Black boys scar and crack like a Lion King showing at a meth lab when Black mothers die. When Black mothers die, we are never prepared. How can we be? Black mothers, Black aunts, Black grannies are the life keeping our blue blood red. I remember this when I look in my granny's subtly aging eyes and see paradise staring back, just a little dimmer. The island trees in her smile losing a little more of their wind. Prayers can't save her from dying any more than rain can drown a pool. It's all water. And her river is bending back towards her source. I need more FaceTime with her. My allegiance to contemporary Android living isn't worth the offering plate of tears regret's final sermon will demand of me. I cannot die for her, but I can live with her. So my upgrade is the same as hers. In spite of my years of decrying the decline of Apostle Steve's vision, I will bite the apple on purpose, because imperfect track records are the only communion the Black godmother accepts. And that is a long poem about why I switched from Android to iPhone. All right. So I actually also have a Where I'm From poem, which I wasn't going to do until Donato, you did yours. I'm like, let's do that. No tamales in this one, though. Where I'm from. I am from the top bunk, from action figures, radio dramas, and Saturday morning cartoons. I am from wall-shaking gospel music, mom's signal that it's time to clean the house. I am from yard work, plumbing, pool cleaning, assembling IKEA furniture without needing to read the directions. All things my father made sure I knew how to do by the time I was 10, when a hug and I love you would have made me 20 times smarter. I am from too Black and not Black enough, from no language, pero un amor de español, from LA dojos and short stories scratched into notebooks. I am from Lucky Bridget, the only dog I ever loved. I am from Star Wars, Jesus, the Fresh Prince, before the slap, the Fresh Prince, and poetry. Too soon? Too soon? Because hearing salvation wasn't enough. I needed to pen my own. I am from Granny's rolls fresh out of the oven. I'm from being homeschooled before it was cool and being a mama's boy before it was hot. I am from floppy disks and IBM, from Macintosh before it found its swagger and became Mac. I am from Stephanie and David's journal entry, from ginger snaps and lemon birthday cakes, from Tyco racetracks covering firewood in the rain and Nintendo before memory cards. I am from blood and water have the same thickness, and all 5 of them call me brother. I am from the refuge of thousands of books that travel through my fingers. I am from Motown Christmas. I am from family game nights and the hope that good things will last. The force is strong in my family. Education runs in my blood, a marathon of purpose spiraling in all directions through every member. I am from that legacy, a poem that began before my first word. Thank you. Okay, so I do have a completed manuscript, but it's not out because, it's out in there in ether waiting to be picked up by somebody. So that last poem and this one I'm about to read are in that. This one's called Confessional. Dear God, I don't pray much these days. Plus, it seems like you're hard of hearing anyway. People I used to respect say what's happening is your judgment, that you're waiting for us to repent of all our sin before being willing to show that you love us. But what about the white folks? And all their racist pillaging. Over half a millennium, surely you weren't okay with their hating, raping, and villainy. So you see, even American Christianity is racist. It places the blame of pain and uncontained suffering on the backs of Blacks who face constant re-enslavement from incessant government othering, not to mention our brown brothers and sisters who are treated as blisters on the feet of oppressors simply because they want the freedom of being human without any stress. And look, I'm not saying I don't believe in you, but the only people you seem to listen to are trash. So no, I don't pray much these days. I read Angela, Ibram, Audrey, and James. I need a source of hope, and I can't quite trust this. Not when Bethel Church is making a ruckus over prophecies and muchness, yet never see it coming, or feel compelled to speak up when Black and brown bodies are brutalized, decried and sensationalized, exploited mid-demise for the entertainment of the public. So God, I'm out. Dear God, see you at the next tragedy. Thank you. All right. Oops. All right. So, because I constantly do too much, I also have a collection of love poems I'm going to release only online this summer. Again, we're on the same wavelength, Nato and I. So like, have you ever been with someone that kind of like rearranged the parameters of your ego? Because we get into relationships like, oh, maybe this works out, maybe it doesn't. Either way, I'll be okay. But then there's that one person where it's like, damn. And then afterwards, once it runs its course, you kind of would rather be by yourself than be with someone else. But deep down, you're like, but maybe we'll get back together. This is that poem. It's called Eternals. Also, side note, so paranoia is obviously the expectation of something negative happening. Pronoia is the expectation of something positive. That's important. This is called Eternals. I'm dreaming you again. We swam to Pronoia Island, ate mangoes in the water until our brown skin sang freedom in the key of sunlight. My fingers following the tan line cartography to the summit of your lips, wherein you pursed them like vintage coins. Bless my fingers with your holy kiss. On Pronoia Island, we are free from everything we convinced ourselves we needed to be in order to be loved. Freed like glaciers tangled in the silhouette of lips, denying the climate change, licking them softly into climax over time. Lovers melted into strangers, evaporating back into the song of the sun. Sometimes I know your skin, the botany of your veins when flushed with excitement, anger, hunger, fear. The taste of your chlorophyll as your magnificent woman body squeezes my head when you convert light into life. Every gasp a tornado of satisfaction. This skin I sometimes know bows before none, neither struts for applause. This skin I sometimes know is beauty's polymath, a novel in hieroglyphic verse, an encyclopedia of rare flowers. This skin I sometimes know doesn't need me at all. Yet even the classical song we're cuffed to comes with the rest. Sometimes the dream makes strangers of our bodies, rots the cheese of our charcuterie, strips the tannins from our wine. We are uncoupled, unpaired, adrift in a wandering ocean, forgetting Pranoia Island belongs to us. I'm dreaming you again. Us back in our vacation villa, naked beneath spa jets, writing spells across our bodies with the water. You hold my eyes through simply existing. There is no poetry adequate to express. You're the most beautiful woman I have ever known. My heart cannot remember a time we were not curled up next to each other in our own personal library of eye contact, sharing thoughts on bell hooks essays, exchanging kisses like dollars to euros, exulting that the moon, like Baldwin, like intimacy, belongs to us. Time travel is the great remedy for heartache, to go back before it happened and freely exist as if it never will. Singing the song of the sun from the mountains, pretending there aren't any line breaks, make believing our mangoes aren't pre-installed with last bites. Lovers like us only happen once every 100 lifetimes. Perhaps this is the beginning of our next transition. We know we have known each other before. We know we shall know each other again. Perhaps this is what eternal really means. Love unbroken even when it breaks. I love you, like Prince loves purple, like Coquito loves those extra 5 pours of Bacardi, like your words love revolution. Eternal. So if you find yourself dreaming me, call me. Pranoia Island is still ours. Thank you. And this will be my last one, I think, just for time's sake. So this one's called Flower Medicine. It sounds sexist. I swear it's not. But as a dude, I've never been given flowers by a woman before. Never happened till this past week. I was having a horrible week. And one of my coworkers, like, I showed up and she had like flowers and she was like, "Oh, flower medicine, like it's medical, and that's why we give people flowers and you sniff it and you feel better." I'm like, "Yeah, you're crazy. That's not a real thing." But I took them because my mama raised me with manners, and I took them home, and then I just started cleaning, and I was just in a good mood. I'm like, "Oh my God, there's something to flower medicine after all." I don't know if it's psychological because she told me that or whatever, but it did move me. So yes, this is called Flower Medicine. En dedicación a mi hermana Sara Rubio, porque ya tú sabes. The fields are where everything happens. Good magic, dark magic, up, down, black, white, freedom, America, longing, terror. We leave our homes to drink our drinks, work our jobs, tighten our education, love our lovers, yet we carry the bruises of the field in our bodies. Bruises we are not responsible for, yet no less subject to. Hope paints our Jack Nicholson faces and bright smiles that we remember are not waterproof when the day ends and our strength gives out. Every day, we strive for alchemy, pain to power, faking it to making it. We give our all to transform the field of battle into a game, kicking the soccer ball of ambition through the goalpost of our intellect with invoice-generating force that we may build the board dangling above the highway on our way home, saying that if we lived there, we'd be there by now, which can never be true because home is not something dictated by a sign, but a state of being released from a soul at peace with itself. But peace is a lost mythology to those of us buried beneath volcanoes, choking on the soil mercilessly served to us by spiteful tectonic plates. Feeling like Mother Earth's abortion that won't take. Why does me striving to live seem to make you want to kill me more? The field is where everything happens. And so we swim through lakes and rivers of magic, cursed and blessed, until we finally break into daylight like a thief laden with medicine for her dying wife. Like a spying kite in Prince's platform shoes, we experience lift. And for just a moment, like the spray of the ocean foam, a sip of much needed air, we make our bed in the light. Like Icarus, just before he flew too high, when the heat of the sun merely warmed his wings and he experienced in the infinitude of 5 seconds what any of us would trade 5 lifetimes to know, the serenity of being a god. Our lives are flowers not meant for all seasons, which means that sometimes we die a little bit before we bloom. Clutching fingers grab water bottles to douse parched throats, but what's inside? Water, alcohol, coffee, non-GMO, dairy-free, vanilla-flavored organic milk, or perhaps a sip of air, because sometimes the greatest gift we can give ourselves is a deep and gentle breath. The fields are where everything happens. Homes, grocery stores, White Houses, comedy clubs, prisons, schools, dispensaries, hospitals. where people who may not survive being out of season are brought flowers in bloom, scented incantations chemically bonding with Avengers assembled window portals to the gleaming sway of palm trees just outside. A flower is not a miracle. It cannot unwrite cancer, cure depression, restore lost limbs, but it does drip magic back onto the soul, foregoing darkness and light for ascendancy. And I suspect flower medicine is just the field washing back into our bones, unsinking our lost mythologies of peace to teach us new languages of self-love, because eternity is just an exaggerated state of now. And if we are now in full, it's impossible to miss out on forever, because we are the field and the everything which is happening, and the sun delights to be in our presence, even though it burns us sometimes. And whether or not we are in a season of bloom, we are always in a state of flowers. And I think that's what the saints and sages meant by the word joy. So give people their flowers. It's good medicine. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. That was really wonderful, and thank you for all the other poets that I've read. It's been really, I've had a rough week, so like hearing all this poetry has been really, filling. So thank you, everybody. So our last poet of the night, from the Poem a Week features, is someone I've been in community with, and I was trying to, I was trying to remember how I met her, and I couldn't quite. I was like, couldn't quite figure it out. But I know we've been in community and shared poetry together. And so I'm excited to bring up Leslie Ortega. Leslie Ortega is a Chicanx artist born and raised in Anaheim, California. Her work captures the small things that are often hidden in her culture growing up in a Mexican household. She likes to play around with various mediums like poetry, painting, sketching, and recycling items into art. Currently, she's tending to her recent obsession of fungi to study botany in hopes of becoming a mycologist. You can find all her art, cooking, and knowledge sharing on her Instagram at Leslie Burps. Let's give it up for Leslie Ortega.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Karo. You know, funny story. I do remember it's been a long time. It was at Spoken Literature Arts Movement, but I also remember I saw you working somewhere close to my house, and I was like, oh my God, I know she's a poet. And I just could not remember because, you know, that community is so large. So thank you for having me. So the first piece I'll be reading is called If You Can't Be Free. Do kids still learn how to skip? Are their hands being taught cursive, looping in and out? Sweat prints on thin paper, remnants of curiosity, of needs, of voice. Some days I take the bus to work and I see my dad's face on every driver, my aunt's face on every woman with bleached hands, a tray of cleaning supplies nestled in the ridges of the rubber floor. If you can't be free, remain a mystery. I heard about Billie Holiday's death on the radio, something about an NPR special dedication to her, how her lungs failed her, how the government killed her. Free yourself of the oh well, shedding paper layers. The demon of evaporation smells like the exhaust cloud at the exit. We don't have to sit here, esperando y esperando. No. Thank you. So I have a couple other poems. This is my chapbook that I self-published October of 2021. It took me about 3 years to write, so I was just really proud of it. I'm gonna share a couple from those. Painting home. Hold our breaths como sangre azul y morado. Under the roof, two colors translate to several things. We don't know the whole story. Como sangre salen diferentes colores cuando nos pega el aire. Under the skin, we define what one color means to ma, sometimes pa, white to green to blue to yellow. Como sangre, the paint dries differently each time. Pa finishes up the second and third coats. White to green to blue to yellow. Ma confused the hospital room for her bedroom once. Pa finishes up the second and third coats. Avocado green to brighter than a blue ocean to just a faint yellow. This is the most time windows have been left open. Escurriendo la mugre de los tapetes, I pause to hear each sentence. We don't know the whole story, too. The most time windows have been left open. Do the colors matter? Pa is another rebote tournament older. He drives back to Home Depot with raised eyebrows, no comment. Ma waited a few days to say, como que no me gustó este color. Pa is another rebote tournament older, 5 gallons. Ma sweeps before the tape gets put down. Waited a few days to say, como que no me gustó este color. Is paint thicker than blood? 5 hours. Ma sweeps before the tape gets put down. Finding corners of darkness to keep out. If love was care, why make them different words? En la casa sale el sol y a veces la lluvia. Como sangre regresamos. He drives back to Home Depot with no comment. En la casa sale el sol y a veces la lluvia. ¿Importan los colores? Thank you. This next poem is an after poem after one of my favorite poets, Jose Olivares. Highly recommend if you haven't read any of his stuff. It's in response to I walk into every room and yell where the Mexicans at. I know we exist when we are asked what our profession is. My dad is a city bus driver, but his formal title is coach operator. My formal profession is staff accountant, and in Hancock Park, I get confused for somebody's assistant. The white lady at orientation stares blankly into my brown eyes and says, "Oh my, numbers? That must be hard." I stare at a puddle on the floor, imagining how much easier it would be to not have to prove that I can walk over every puddle without getting washed away from my roots. And yet, life blooms when Oye by La Sonora Dinamita spills through my car speakers with Oye, abre tus ojos, disfruta las cosas buenas, reminding me of my mother's golden hair flipping from side to side on the dance floor after months of almost losing her to a strange disease we couldn't translate to Spanish correctly. This white lady will never know. Our people will be associated with the Mexican fruit that fruit carts provide, because it doesn't taste the same when you cut fruit at home and sprinkle it with tajin. Work personalities that walk from their garage into their preheated cars will never know that brown hands make everything with love. My dad drives his bus with brown hands covered in leather gloves. He waves in hundreds of people a day, the ones that pay, the ones that don't, the ones that yell fuck you when they climb on in piss-stained pants, and he'll honk back with an I love you too, man, followed by a peace sign. On those same days, a stranger will notice the kindness in his eyes and hand him a torta. At home, when my mom pours me beans in a bowl from the 99, my dad sings to the beat of an Oscar Mayer Wiener commercial. You're a beaner, I'm a beaner, don't you want to be a beaner too? The gleam in his eye extends to my mom in the kitchen, and she scoffs at this. If I could have the humility my dad swears by, maybe the white women would stutter. So most of my poems are about my family in this chapbook. It was really hard to write, and I actually gave a first draft to my parents to read it to kind of approve of it because I wasn't sure if it was just too much. So this next one is the first time I talked to my dad about the theme again, heartbreak, a breakup, and it's called Carl's Jr. What time do you work today? Really means I really need to talk to you today. Here's my route schedule if you want to come at my break. Really means I'll always be here if you need to talk. I can do that. Really means thank you. My hands tremble to not wake disruption in my old home. Lips held tight, hands sweaty, until we sat across from each other at Carl's Jr. that night. My shoulders dropped as I unwrapped each fold of the burger wrapper, that sting in my throat that creeps in before a weep, followed by the water dressing my cheeks. My stomach emptied, my fingers limp. The last thing I wanted to complain about was the damn cheese on my burger, but he knew and offered me his instead. Maybe he's just intimidated by how smart you are, and at least he told you the truth. And us men don't know how good we have it until we don't have it anymore. The Santa Fe chicken sandwich in front of me tastes like air and salt, but I get the strength to recover my shoulders, hold my head higher than the water. Only 2 minutes left, and Pa's brown wrinkles shine through the big windshield, reminding me that shit happens, but you'll laugh in the end, because if you don't laugh at life, it'll laugh at you instead. Thank you. Whew, I'm like so nervous. Everyone's poetry before me was so beautiful. I was getting so emotional. So thank you, everyone. This next one's called Amor Apache. They beg and beg here, but still throw their heads back with laughter. There is a richness in instant coffee. My abue's joy ripples and wrinkles as jokes sneak up on my shoulders, left and right. In the kitchen, the women make all the meals. The beans are bien salados, and you must not forget to ask the men in the living room if they want tortillas with that. Aguantando makes water sound like a verb, excusable like waterfalls. At least they keep going. The dishes washed, the beans kept stirring, and before I take a seat, I ask mi abue, ¿Y cómo se dice esta fruta? I hold up a pomegranate. Amor apache, ¿qué es? The answers get richer with denial. Empiezan siempre con tú, nunca con yo. In the picture frames, twisted arms nailed into the white bricked wall of my abue's studio apartment. The chisme threads through the throats of my aunts. Their voices so loud they gloss over the past, invisible on their toothy smiles. Some silver shines on their fingers covered in joyerias, fixing their now lightened brown hair. The strength that is carried and most nights buried. Generations carried in whispers until the sweets come out, and we forget what was, sitting in what is now. Am I good on time? I'll do like 2 more. Okay. I'll read the last poem that I have in this collection. This one's after my Nana. Nana's bathroom was the only one I knew that had a rectangular shaped window leading to the sky as you took a shit. You'd walk in there after a few hours in the pool and it felt like you were free or in some type of heaven. Cloudy headed with pruny hands and chlorine breath. It was a different type of light, a little hand wave. Brushing my teeth, I'm thrown into that light memory, but I don't have that little window. Just the regular ceiling light. I think about Nana, what this woman means in our lives. She lives on in our hearts, but not in our bloodstream. The sweetest grandmother we ever got to know. I was born into this world and Nana was in the same room. The nurses ignored my mother's cries for early delivery and Nana caught me out of contractions. 3 months early, eager to pop into this new world. Nana showed me things my parents would have never afforded: ballet classes, organ lessons, and camping trips. She wanted to take me everywhere. On Facebook, an old lady comments on her passing with, "Too bad she was a Democrat." And it gets political. Nana was a white lady that was there for my parents in their mid-20s living in Southgate, California, where my mom spoke little English and took care of my two sisters as my dad worked. I asked my parents to recount the story of when Nana went over for enchiladas con arroz y frijoles and my dad didn't show up. My mother excused my dad's absence for a daily occurrence. He was just playing el rebote at the park. Nana stood up and drove them all to that park. There is no eating without everyone at the table. Thank you. So this will be my last one. This is a new one that I've been working on. As Karo mentioned, I'm doing a pretty big career shift and I'm studying mycology. I used to be an accountant, if you couldn't tell in the poetry book. This one's called mycelia. So if you don't know what mycelium is, it's the filaments underneath a mushroom that kind of feeds on everything in order for it to grow into the main mushroom body. So that's what this poem's about. We pull the non-natives out of the soil, their roots stringy like threads in an overworn sweater, easy to pull when the soil resembles the insides of pillows. They tell us if it's too hard to pull, it's a native neighbor, let them be. How rough it must be to once be pulled, to now hang on so tightly to wet, dry, or brittle soil. A gesture of pain, resistance that I find underneath every step I take. If you don't belong here, it's easy to move, pack up and build elsewhere. But being from here, noted in ancestry and roots unseen, a fight continues. They tell us there's no such thing as a bad plant, just a plant in the wrong place, like the mustards crowding around the shade of an oak tree. When tougher times come ablaze, the mustards burn like it was kindling for a fire, and the oaks are the stockpile of wood at your bonfire. As the oaks belong here, their existence is hard to remove. Even with burnt skin, charred tips, there is restoring hope. Roots remain, networks with the fungi continue. Even with the fourth knowledge of this, our fungi friends are banned like they weren't around before the dinosaurs or before a human species. Only being around for death. They don't only take invitations to the funeral, but that's all anyone remembers. Another foreign, uninvited guest that is meant to be here and really everywhere. No thank you cards for the fungus. They kill everything, they tell us, until it shows up on your pizza. The white, fluffy mats found under soil is a network unimaginably perceived like the galaxies around us, but we only think of above, above, above. The bearers of fruit are the most stubborn, aren't they? We always want the fruit, whatever is most alive and fruitful of life. Mycelia, I hope one day they'll know your name. Thank you.
Okay, everyone. So let's give it up for all our Poem a Week poets. Woo! Yeah, thank you again, everyone, for being here. I know some of you have traveled far to be here, and I know it's also a lot of first time that people are here at the library. So I hope you enjoyed your experience. And thank you for everyone on YouTube who tuned in. So we're gonna take about like a 5-7 minute break. So use the bathroom, eat some chips or soda or water, or like hang out, and then I know there's a couple people on the open mic list. And if you want to sign up, we can probably take them maybe like 2 or 3 more people. And so the open mic list is on the circle table in the back. If anyone wants to sign up. But yeah, thank you everybody once again. And this was a really great show. I'm really filled with lots of poetry. So thank you.